That's how I started with the Blackbyrds, and they put out some really, really good music. Like I said, even though I wasn't a fan of Unfinished Business, it went gold. City Life, of course, went gold, and Action went gold. I mean, gold in the 70s was no slouch. I mean, gold albums in any time period is nothing to sneeze at. But gold as a jazz fusion band in the 70s, when we're talking disco and funk, it's like people respect your art. And that was huge. Everybody, welcome to day 22 of the BMM 30 series here on the Groove Line with your host, Chris Stevens. If you're not familiar, the group on the Groove Line is a music podcast YouTube show where I discuss Black music from the past, present, and future. That's R&B, funk, disco, EDM, house, hip hop, jazz fusion, which we'll get into today, and a lot of other stuff. Be sure to subscribe, tap the notification bells, be notified of all the new content that drops on the channel, and like and comment on the videos. We have good discussions in the comments. And as I said, the BMM 30, June is Black Music Month. So for 30 days, I'm going to have an episode up, whether it be about a band, an artist, a genre, an album, a sound, an era, whatever. If it has something to do with the history of Black music, we got you covered right here on the Groove Line. So thank you for coming by. If you're new, thank you for coming back if you're not. And today on this rather chill Sunday morning, I actually remember when I told you guys that I hurt my knee running earlier this week. Well, my knee actually acting like it's got some sense now, so I don't feel so much in pain bending my knee sitting at this desk with my laptop open and my mic talking to y'all. So that's probably why I sound a little bit more clear than I did on yesterday's episode. But in the meantime, we're gonna, like I said, this is a jazz fusion episode, and jazz fusion is one of the most favorite. It is my favorite discovery as an adult when it comes to music. I was not a jazz person growing up. You know, my world was ruled by R&B, hip hop, funk, and then eventually disco, dance music, and all of that. I wasn't until my 30s when I discovered, Herbie Hancock's Headhunters album, and I've talked about that many places. I may do a Headhunters retrospective on here at some point, but I'm not sure yet. But there is something important about this group that I'm going to be talking about today, and I'm going to introduce you to these gentlemen now. These are the Blackbyrds. They are a group that was founded by Dr. Donald Byrd, which is, of course, where the name comes from, the Blackbyrds. And Dr. Byrd, an accomplished jazz trumpeter, born in 1932, died 2013. Took some students from his Howard University class, put them in the studio, got them a deal with Fantasy Records, and they put out some of the best jazz fusion of the second half of the 70s. In fact, three straight of their albums, City Life, Unfinished Business, and Action, all went gold. And for a jazz fusion group to do that in the 70s, in the late part of the 70s, mind you, because this was all 75, 76, 77. That lets you know that these dudes had some chops. The original members of the band, of course, were Kevin Toney, who just passed away last year, who was their keyboardist and the chief songwriter, Keith Kilgo on drums, and Joe Hall on bass, who still tour with them now. Orville Saunders wasn't an original member, but he still was in the early days of the Blackbyrds, and he's still touring with them now. And of course, Alan Barnes, a saxophonist and clarinet, who passed away in 2016, and Barney Perry on guitar. So these are the kids that took Dr. Byrd's music class at Howard University, and he saw something in them and said, hey, let's get you guys in the studio. And the Blackbyrds recorded 6 studio albums and 1 movie soundtrack. That movie soundtrack, Cornbread, Earl, and Me, starring a 12-year-old Lawrence Fishburne and Basketball Hall of Famer Jamal Silk Wilkes. He was Keith Wilkes then, but he, adopted the Muslim faith, changed his name to Jamal Wilkes. But when the movie was out, he was Keith Wilkes, and his name in the movie was Nathaniel Cornbread Hamilton. If you haven't watched Cornbread, Earl, and Me, I don't want to give it away. Go watch it. It's one of the best blaxploitation films of the 70s that isn't overly blaxploitational. But yes, that is the Blackbyrds did the soundtrack to that movie, and they did 6 studio albums. So we're going to rank these 6 studio albums for you guys now, so you guys can have an idea of what you will be listening to when you do a Blackbyrds dive, as you should. And I'll talk more about why you should do that later on in the episode. But yeah, we'll start At number 6, it's their last studio album as the original Blackbyrds before they all went their separate ways in 1981. It's called Better Days. And this album came out second half of 1980. And you know what was happening in the 80s, man, the late 70s, early 80s. A lot of artists who weren't disco dance oriented were being forced to sort of cut these kind of records because they fit in with the form and the fashion of the times. And I'm not saying Better Days is a bad album. I'm just saying it's not the Blackbyrds. I mean, it's not what made the Blackbyrds great. I mean, there's a few dance numbers on there. There's a couple of slow tempo joints. Do It Lady. I like Do It Lady from this album, but most of it is just kind of like dance floor filler. And it's like when you're a jazz, I mean, and jazz people like to get people dancing, of course, but I just don't think that this is what the Blackbyrds had in mind when they recorded Better Days in 1980. But yeah, that's why it's the least favorite of the albums that I've listened to. Next up, 1976's Unfinished Business at number 5. And again, this is 1976. This is when, disco really has just swept the nation. And I'm saying this as a disco fan. Not everybody should have been doing disco. And I'm not saying that Unfinished Business is a disco album, but it definitely has like disco flair to it. And I it's just not an album that I think best represents the Blackbyrds. And I mean, the title track is good. Lady is good. A couple other joints on there are good. And a couple, but as far as, it being a cohesive album, eh. We get good now. We're getting really good now. So, I mean, it's important let me come off of a side screen. It's important to note that these Blackbyrds albums are ranked in the order with which I enjoyed them. I'm not saying that these are terrible albums because they're all great. I mean, the Blackbyrds were accomplished instrumentalists. I mean, they learned from a legendary jazz trumpeter who got them a record deal and they were able to hold their own, even though he produced most of their stuff, but they wrote most of their stuff. So I'm not saying that any of these albums, as far as their rankings go, means that one album stinks, one album's greater than the other. I mean, it's just in the order of what I enjoyed the most. And I mean, you may feel differently. That's why we have the comment section. You can leave some comments. Number 4, Flying Start, their second album in 1974. And this one it's not their legend song, but it's the song that actually got them nominated for a Grammy. It's Walking in Rhythm. Walking in Rhythm. Singing my song. Like, when you think about just how upbeat that is, it's just very, very, it lifts your spirits. But even though the chorus goes, it's been so long since I've seen her, I'm all so lost and alone. Like, he's walking in rhythm to walking to my baby. Yeah, he's going back home. So he's walking in rhythm to get back to his girl. So, but yeah, Flying Start as a whole is not a bad second album. I mean, a lot of second albums, are when artists really start to hit their stride. And, this one just has a real, it's a song, it's an album that gives you the true essence of the Blackbyrds, in my opinion. I mean, the ones that are coming up next are absolutely better known, and you can argue that they do have that same essence, but it feels like Flying Start. If you were to drop someone off and say, give me jazz, drop someone off in 1974 and they say, where's, something that I can listen to that's this new jazz fusion thing, I would put Flying Start in their hand. I absolutely would. Number 3, their debut from earlier in 1974, self-titled The Blackbyrds. And this one has Do It Fluid. Do It Fluid, that probably is the song that, if you're asking for a song that can best introduce you to a group, I said this about Dance to the Music with Sly and the Family Stone. I say this about Do It Fluid for the Blackbyrds. Do It Fluid is absolutely a great introduction to that band. Like, you literally just, you hear the, the electric piano that, Kevin Toney is playing, and you hear the guys just chanting, do it, fluid, and it's a jam. It's a nice little, I mean, it's not too fast, not too slow. I mean, it just hits a right pocket. It just hits a right pocket. And, the entire album is worth a listen. Number 2, 1975 City Life. Well, we know about this one because it's got at least 3 legendary Blackbyrd songs on here, including their legend song, Doing It in the Park, Doing It After Dark. Oh yeah, Rock Creek Park. Oh yeah. If you have not heard that song, then I don't know if you have had a proper black experience. But yes, Rock Creek Park is it's the Blackbyrds. It's DC in the 70s. It's interesting because 1975 was the year that Washington D.C. got some real big shout outs in music when you think about it. Because George Clinton in Parliament came out with Chocolate City, and then you have the Blackbyrds coming out with City Life. Like George Clinton is like, "Yo, we love Chocolate City," and the Blackbyrds are like, "Well, let's walk you through Chocolate City. Let's you know talk about the happy music. Let's do it in the park, do it after dark at Rock Creek Park." I think the video that actually I think that is a music video, and I actually think that is Rock Creek Park. So if you have not had the chance to see the official Rock Creek Park video, I highly recommend you check it out on YouTube. It is absolutely 1975 to a T, absolutely mid 70s. Guys playing instruments without nary an electrical outlet in sight in Rock Creek Park. I mean, but the song itself, I mean, it's and it's fun. It's one of those fun 70s songs that boomers and Gen Xers who were raised by boomers swear by, and with good reason. And the slow jam on here, Love So Fine. Oh, Love So Fine is my shit. Oh my God, I love that song so much. Whew, I tell you. I mean, the Blackbyrds could do it all, man. They absolutely could do it all. And the number one album on the list is 1977's Action. I love this album cover, first of all, because these dudes are on the track acting like they're really about to run some sprints. Shouts out to my man in the front with the headband on. I mean, it's just, but I think this is the most cohesive Blackbyrds album. I mean, you get a sense of who they are on Flying Start. You get a sense of how they represent DC, even though they're from different areas of the country on City Life. You get an introduction to them on the Blackbyrds, but it feels like Action is when they all had their best stuff together. Like they were in pocket, they were in a bag on Action. You have Mysterious Vibes, which was written by Keith Kilgo, the drummer. That's still one of my favorite summer night songs ever recorded. Like when I have that on my summer walking playlist, like I hear that when I'm going for my walks on, several select nights of the week. I know it's going to be a good walk. There's also, it ends with two really sort of romantic, let me put my game down type of songs. There's Soft and Easy, where once again, we are in the 70s and we have women making freaky deaky noises on record. But yeah, Soft and Easy is a jam. And Kevin Toney wrote Dreaming About You. And I'm telling you now, if you've never heard that song, I mean, it's really just, the beat will hypnotize you, but then the lyrics, talking about pretty images of you like on the clouds in the sky. Just great music, great music. So Action is the number one, Blackbyrds album for me. And just coming back to the point of how this group got its start, music education is something that I wish I had or taken a little bit more seriously growing up, because I remember in grade school, we had a teacher who was supposed to teach us music, and he was so irritated that black kids, were, just, sitting still prim and proper. He didn't teach us a single note the entire marking period we had music. Dead serious. So that was it. I think I had one more music class in junior high. I don't even remember it because it was just hard for me to remember. And then the interesting thing about Dr. Donald Byrd was when I got to Delaware State, he was just retiring as a music professor at DSU. So I missed the opportunity to take my music elective from him by like a semester. Still bitter about that. I'm mad at myself. I should have got my ass on campus earlier. But music education for black kids is crucial. I mean, we talk about how, church is a breeding ground for black musicians, as it should be, but having proper music education to learn things about, reading music, mastering your instrument, learning about music theory and space and all of that stuff. That's stuff that, music lovers, respect, and musicians themselves live by. So I don't know if any of those kids that became the Blackbyrds got to Howard and knew that Dr. Byrd was going to see something in them and say, all right, I'm putting y'all in the studio. I don't know if that's the case. I would love to talk to the, surviving members of the band, not the surviving members. I mean, the members of the band. Well, yeah, surviving members of the band, and see what their thoughts are on this. But I can't imagine what it'd be like to be 18, 19, 20 years old, going to Howard University. I mean, well, Howard University has always been a thing anyway, because HBCUs are important to the Black experience. I mean, as you can see, I'm a Delaware State alum. I proudly rep my Hornets. And Howard University is one of the Black Ivies. So imagine being a young Black man in the early 70s, a musician going to an institution in a Black city like Washington, D.C. You meet like-minded people. You get to see beautiful girls walking across campus. Your professors are known in their fields. I mean, you have a top flight jazz trumpeter as your music instructor, and he says, "Yeah, hey, Julio, yeah, you, y'all want to make a record? Cool, I got some connects." And that's how it started. I guess that's how it started with the Blackbyrds, and they put out some really, really good music. Like I said, even though I wasn't a fan of Unfinished Business, it went gold. City Life, of course, went gold, and Action went gold. I mean, gold in the 70s was no slouch. I mean, gold albums in any time period is nothing to sneeze at. But gold as a jazz fusion band in the 70s, when we're talking disco and funk, it's like people respect your art. And that was huge. That had to be huge. Yes, if you're not familiar with the Blackbyrds, I highly recommend you get familiar. You won't be disappointed. And we'll go back to the countdown really, really quickly. Number 6 on the Blackbyrds album list for me is Better Days. Really 1980-ish. Yeah, you guys need to give us a dance floor album, and they tried, and oh well. Number 5, Unfinished Business. The first iteration of a Blackbyrds dance floor album. Wasn't bad, but just wasn't who they were. Number 4, Flying Start. Very much enjoyed that album. Number 3, their self-titled debut from early in 1974. Enjoyed that one. Number 2 is City Life. That speaks for itself on the strength of Rock Creek Park and Happy Music. And of course, Action, which I feel like is their most cohesive album to date. Like, it's just literally everything that those talented kids put together and said, all right, we know what we can do now. We've been through this process before with Dr. Byrd. We've had several great musicians from the jazz fusion world join us. We know how to, create some stuff now. And Action, they was definitely about that action on Action. So yes, the Blackbyrds are one of the great success stories of the 70s. They're definitely one of the best jazz fusion bands that you can imagine. And again, just the importance of Black kids being educated in a musical way, in a musical space, and learning about the nuances of music. That's what's missing now, in my opinion. And for those kids to do that at an HBCU and become one of the best bands of their era, it can't be understated by any stretch of the imagination. The Blackbyrds are absolutely one of the most important bands of the 70s, even though if they don't get the credit they deserve. That's my personal opinion. I mean, I may do a band ranking one of these days. I've always wanted to do like a March Madness style bracket for 70s and funk bands and R&B bands and jazz bands. I may do that one day. Hold me to it if you're watching this. But yes, that's going to do it for day 22 of the BMM 30 series here on the Groove Line. Greatly appreciate y'all for watching and listening as always. Until the next time we ride, we got 8 days left. 8. We are coming down the home stretch. Are you excited? Goodness knows I am. So thank y'all for watching and riding with me. Until the next time we ride on the Groove Line. Y'all be good or be good at it.